What's going on YouTube? Chris from Out West with Chris. Today, something different. I try to stay away from politics and that type of stuff as much as I can. I think the recent trend of trying to get on social media and influence people on why your politics are better than theirs is actually very counterproductive and divisive. I don't really see how it serves much purpose to sit behind a computer and scream and yell through your keyboard, call people names and, that type of stuff to try to convince them that they're wrong. It just doesn't work. Occasionally when we talk about, gun stuff, talk a little bit about politics because it pertains to that particular issue. What I want to talk about is some thoughts I have on this shooting that took place in Las Vegas. So before we get into it, I am interested in your thoughts on this. So feel free to use that comment section down below. I'd appreciate if we could keep it respectful. There are going to be people with opposing viewpoints. And like I said before, being a keyboard commando yelling at somebody isn't going to accomplish anything. So if you have a good logical argument, if you have something to add to the conversation, you're more than welcome, either side, to comment down below. Okay, let's talk about this Vegas shooting massacre. You can see I have a shirt on that says, "Support old number 2." I am a Second Amendment supporter. I'm a First Amendment supporter. I am a Bill of Rights supporter. Support the Constitution. While I kind of understand the knee-jerk reaction to vilify a mechanical object because it's the easy way out, it would be like somebody who doesn't like fishing, who thinks it's unethical to fish and catch fish and hook fish. There are those people out there. It would be like them blaming the fishing rod, reel, and lure that I'm using and not blaming me. It would be like a PETA activist blaming the bullet and the gun for killing an elk or a deer, but not blaming me. Whenever we have a situation like this, a shitty situation like this occur, certain people and the media jump on the anti-gun bandwagon and they hammer the gun that was used. It had a 30-round clip, not a magazine, a clip. It was a fully automatic. It was semi-automatic. Half the time, these folks don't even understand what they're talking about. And a lot of time, in their initial reporting, they're totally wrong. Sometimes I think they're wrong just because they don't know. But sometimes I think they're wrong because they want to forward an agenda, a conversation, something, that vilifies the gun. The thing that needs to be vilified is the fucking scumbag who pulled the trigger. That's what killed 58 people and counting in Vegas yesterday. It wasn't the gun or the guns. It was somebody who was sick, twisted, and evil, who decided that they got to play God that day and decide when those people died. Now, while that person has a name and the media loves to show their picture, tell you all about them, kind of glorify them and tell you their name, you will never hear me utter that scumbag's name because I'm not going to make him an anti-hero or hero or whatever he thinks he is. I'm not going to feed into it. I'm not going to buy into it. If you took away all of the guns that are in the United States of America, people would still find ways to hurt other people. It's a reality that we need to grasp and comprehend. There are evil people in this world. There are sick, twisted people that live out there. Now, I like to think that humanity is way better than the media would portray us. I don't think that the majority of people out there are bad. I think the vast majority of people out there are good people. But if you were to take away all of the guns in the world, people would kill each other with knives. All you have to do to see this is look at your heavily regulated countries. China, for example, or the UK, that don't have access to legal firearms. People go on stabbing sprees. People cut off people's heads in the middle of streets. It's documented. All you have to do is go down to your local U-Haul, rent a fucking truck, and drive it through a crowd. We've seen plenty of that this year so far too, in our country and in Europe. So it's not like taking all the guns off the street is gonna make you any safer or your kids. Now, like I said before, I get that knee-jerk reaction to blame and vilify a piece of metal. I get it. Like, we want answers. We want something convenient to point our finger at, because if it's easy and as convenient as gun control, then we wouldn't have to be afraid. But it's not that easy, because as we've seen before, people will find ways to hurt other people. So I kind of touched on this a minute ago when I said I will not name that scumbag's name. I think the media is culpable in a lot of the recent violent acts that we see. And I think a lot of it's because the phrase, if it bleeds, it leads, is so true. We consume this. We want this. It's almost pornographic in a way. And I'm not going to show pictures of bleeding, bloody, or dead people laying in the grass because it's distasteful. You might see that in other places. I'm not going to show it to you. We live in a time where we get news and information thrown at us 24/7. We have a 24/7 news cycle. There's no break. And we have these news feeds on Facebook, Twitter, all of this stuff just constantly coming at us. So to get our attention, what are the topics that are floated to us first and foremost? It's whatever bleeds leads. So all of the bad stuff in the world, 7 billion people's other problems, whether it's a hurricane, an earthquake, or a mass genocide or mass murder or mass shooting, somebody that's sick and twisted that eats people, like I think there was a couple that were cannibalistic or something, eating people a few days ago. I can't remember, right? Anyways, all of this stuff gets fed at us and we buy into it. And so what this creates is it creates a culture that, in my opinion, is sick. We live in a sick culture where people think that a way that they can be remembered or have their grievances aired is by shooting up a school and leaving a note behind. A lot of us almost think it's normal to see bad stuff. And I don't think that as a creature, we are made to take in all of these things 24/7 and it not affect us in some way. I could be crazy. And if I am, you're more than welcome to tell me in the comment section down below. And I think another underlying factor in all of this stuff is that we have now, as a country and a culture, we've distanced ourselves from the Judeo-Christian values that this country was essentially built on. And not to say anything negative to the atheist folks out there. I've met several atheist or agnostic people that are probably more Christ-like than some Christians that I know. Years ago, when we were very in tune to those Judeo-Christian values, something like this just didn't happen. It didn't happen as often. There were still sick and twisted people out there. But I think that distancing of ourselves from those values plays a huge role. And I don't know what the answer is, I have no idea. But to say that doesn't have a role, I think would be a little bit dishonest. I also think the current state of mental health and how we deal with mental health in this country is totally fucked up. I know of a family who took in a mentally ill teenager, and he had gotten kicked out of his house. The family had known this kid for a while, and in the middle of the night, the kid went and stabbed one of the little boys to death that lived there, one of their sons. And this kid had been reported to the authorities as being mentally unstable. They come and I think they went and did a check on the kid, made contact with them, but there was nothing that they could legally do to hold the kid. He did not state that he was going to kill somebody or hurt himself, so they couldn't hold him. So he was free to go. And later on, I think it was a couple of days later, is when he, committed that crime, that tragedy. I think that there's an underlying issue where our mental health system does not serve people the right way. And I don't think we should go back to the 50s and 60s, before I was born, when you could have a relative committed and they would be locked up for the rest of their life in a loony bin. I don't really think that that's correct either. There has to be some sort of balance, though. And I think we fail the sick, and we fail the people that the sick hurt. I guess in closing, I have none of the answers. I think I've made it pretty obvious, though, that I don't think that gun control or a restriction on my Second Amendment rights is an effective means to make you feel safer. I don't think that it will make anything safer unless you want to basically put everybody on lockdown and take away all of our knives, all of our vehicles, all of our rocks. There are evil people out there. Evil does exist in our world. But I think that goodness is so much more prevalent. I think there are way more good people out there in the world. And it's a shame that our media does not highlight the good that's out in the world. And the things that gets the clicks on the internet are the gore, the things that catches our eye on the TV broadcasts is the blood, the tragedy, all of that stuff. So I don't know what to do. I'm gonna keep on raising my kids and my family to love people. I'm gonna monitor what they take in, and I'm gonna stay unplugged. I don't get broadcast television. About 3 years ago, I decided I didn't want that constant inflow of darkness in my life, so I cut the cord. And maybe you guys should too. I don't know. I'm not gonna tell you guys how to live your life, but I'm just not gonna consume that anymore. It kind of sucks that I felt compelled to make this video, but I did. So I'm gonna go love on my kids a little bit, give them hugs, and tell them what good people they are, and focus on the positive things. And I encourage you guys to do that too. Stay safe. We'll catch you later.